On today's episode, we're sorting out the mechanical issues on the $1,000 Accord Coupe. What is going on, guys? I'm WatchJRGo, and today we're here with my 2000 Honda Accord EX Coupe. And today we're going to change the spark plugs because it runs a little rough sometimes. I'm concerned about that. There's also a code for EGR now after driving it for a bit after the battery reset. I got a new EGR gasket. We're gonna clean the EGR valve and put it back together. Hopefully we can get that code cleared. And we've got the VTEC gaskets. Of course, we bought the Dorman ones this time because it's kind of a big deal to get to Honda during their business hours and buy the official ones. And honestly, these ones look pretty solid, and it is just O-rings. So it's not like we're dealing with anything crazy here. We're gonna do the top and bottom VTEC Solenoid gaskets, and we can get this all knocked out today. The new tires are mounted up. They're Primewell PS 890s, and we got the oil change done, and the oil change didn't fix the VTEC Solenoid code, so we're definitely gonna start replacing those. Before we get started working on this Accord Coupe, I have to give a big thank you to Coupe Audio for sponsoring this video. This is an awesome little Bluetooth speaker. It's got a microphone so you can take calls on it, do whatever you need to, and it's great when you're working on these cars under the hood. You can just throw it up here, have a great place for a speaker to be sitting, and you know, just have music, entertainment while you're working, and it'll fit in a cup holder. Come check this out. Lots of these cars have broken radios, or you know, who knows what's going on. And with this, you can just toss it right in the cup holder beside you. The volume control is this nice, gigantic dial. Super easy to use. The power button is also a play pause button, so check this out. Some good music to roll around in your car too. Outdoor mode has a lot more volume, and indoor mode is bass boost. And there's a little passive subwoofer on the bottom. Check that out. Head on over to coveaudio.com to pick up the commuter with my discount code. It's JRL65. The link will be in the description below. Check it out. Thanks again to Coupe for sponsoring this video. Now let's get to work. Get this hood open. Here we have the much cleaner engine bay. And I'm actually pretty excited to work on this because I shouldn't get covered in grease after all the degreaser we put on there. So we're gonna start with, well, honestly, it's easier to get the VTEC solenoid off if the EGR valve's off. So we're gonna start with the EGR. It's super easy to pull. We're gonna take the EGR valve connector off right here. Just push down, wiggle a lot. There you go, that is off. I'm expecting this won't take too long, but you really never know what you're getting into. Also, I might just pull all the spark plug wires off right now. Get busy on. Awesome. Well, I was gonna pull the spark plug wires and get busy on getting these plugs swapped out, but of course, I have to do valve cover gaskets now. So I might as well pull everything off because this spark plug tube seal came out. And I'll just pull it all off and then get busy swapping out the gaskets. Now that one's nice and dry. This one had the slightest bit of oil on the plug wire right there. That one has a tiny bit of oil. This is not bad. This is a lot better than half of these things with 200,000 miles, except that one. Awesome. Well, that might explain our issues. I gotta get this cleaned up really fast. That was a ton of oil.
I feel like I'm now an expert on changing spark plugs.
Yeah, I'm sure you could change spark plugs super fast at this point. This seal's bad too. This seal's mediocre. That seal's pretty ugly. It is definitely time to do these seals. How fast can we take this thing apart? I hope it's all 10s. I'm pretty sure it is. We're just gonna set all the spark plug wires aside at the same time. Super easy. It's kind of cheating. All right, let's start taking these 10s out. What else we got here? So we're gonna go ahead and get the intake off, and that way it gives me a good starting point to take everything else off of this. Getting this clamp off, it's in a perfect position. I'm kind of impressed. There we go, one down. And I went ahead and popped the lines out of the little holders on the intake line here. There we go, one large tube off. I'm still having a tough time getting back to the bolts on the EGR valve, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the valve cover off. Maybe I can gain myself a little bit of clearance here. I'm just prying right at the edge to break the seal loose. And we'll put this over here. And I think we can get the valve cover right off. Hey, we got a little bit of thread left in that bolt there. Got it. We got that first 12 off. Now, let me put this over here in my bolts. And now, hopefully we can pop the back one off because we've got a little bit of room to work with here. Aha! Thank you for stopping the fight, EGR valve. We've been fighting for a minute here. So, get this backed off real quick, pop the valve out, get it clean, change the gasket. Easy to-do list, easy. Make sure I don't drop the nut. Saved it. It almost looks like this EGR valve was changed, but the gasket's in good shape too. Whatever, we got a new gasket for it. Peel this old one off. There's a lot to clean up though. Carbon buildup is massive, almost like it was leaking past the gasket. Let's see. Once I get this clean, we'll check the valve operation. To clean up the valve, I'm just gonna use a standard gasket scraper. You can use a razor blade too, it'll work just fine. But this has been replaced, I guarantee you. Look at the trash coming off of that. There is so much buildup. It's almost like the bolts weren't tight or something, or they didn't run them down far enough. I don't know what's going on with this, but hopefully we get this all resolved right after we get all this gasket material off. So I'll keep hammering away on this for a couple seconds here, and we'll get it all clean. Then I'll spray it out with brake cleaner, new gasket, done. Look at all the carbon coming out of this. It is literally like somebody shoved dirt into the thing. So once I gotta spray it out. Let me finish getting the gasket off and get some brake cleaner on it, and hopefully that cleans it right up. I tried to spray the carbon deposits out, but that was a complete failure. The buildup is so crazy inside this valve, I'm just scraping it out with a screwdriver at this point. So once I get all this off of here, and the valve moves again, we get to actually working on it. So much better. EGR valve is nice and clean, and you can pull on that to make sure it's not sticking. Operation is free. It is ready to go back on after I clean up the mating surface down there. And since it's off, it's a lot easier to get to the VTEC solenoid. So let's get that off now. On to the VTEC solenoid. We're gonna need my double offset wrenches. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab those right after I get all the connectors off of here. And that should have been the first release. There's one. The VTEC solenoid is unhooked. And I'll go get those wrenches. And let's check since we're standing here. Ooh, that is bad. Well, we're gonna grab another one of those. Needless to say, I think that might be like the OEM filter. That's a Fram, just kidding. I'm pretty sure there were no OEM Frams. So we'll grab a new air filter. I'm gonna have to vacuum the air box out too. That's a disaster. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the upper VTEC solenoid bolts because I'm lazy, and it'll probably make it even easier to get to the lower bolts. So there's one, two. Probably set these aside before I lose them. And number three, if I can get in here, that is. All right, there's the upper. It looks okay, actually. That's a cool drill holder right there. Thanks, Honda. I'm gonna clean all those bolts, wipe this guy down. Looks okay inside. We guess we could check operation while we're in here too. If I remember right, the solenoid body is the ground and this is positive. If I can actually get my jumper wire to work. You can hear it click. It's applying. I think we're good to go. Go ahead and pop this gasket off because it's getting replaced. Ooh, that gasket was rotten. The upper, it's probably factory too. Completely rotted out. Let me use a screwdriver and pop the rest of the gasket off. Pry the rest of that gasket off carefully. It's not in good shape, I'll tell you that. That is completely burnt up, and if you try to bend it, it'll just break in half, I'm sure. This might be like the most random job I've ever done. I'm just kind of jumping around trying to get it all done at once as fast as possible, and I'm succeeding at none of it as fast as possible, but hey, we're gonna get there. Of course, the secret tool to get the VTEC solenoid out is a 10mm double offset box end wrench. This one's fun to get to. Come on, girl. There we go. Got it broke loose. These things, if this is factory, 200,000 miles on this car. That'll be amazing. And that is it. Solenoid off. Woo! Full of oil, and I bet, oh man, this one is easily one of the dirtiest ones I've ever seen. Check it out. All the oil went down inside it, but come on, look at that. You can see all the sludge build up in there. Of course, it's just running out the top. Come on, dump out. I'm gonna get all the oil out of here first for you guys. Oil's puking out of this guy, but it does move freely. You can hear it trying to squirt oil out the top there, suck it through the filter. That Tahoe sounded like a beast for some reason. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I had to look too. Still
a lot of sludge in there. So, on with the new ones, and we'll clean this up. When you disassemble the VTEC solenoid, be careful because there's a spool in here. The spool has a spring that goes in the end of it, right there, just like that. And then this whole thing sits down inside the assembly, which is like press fit, like that. So, you know, don't drop that. You don't want to mess the thing up. And then make sure you get it nice and clean. We're ready to open up our package of seals and put it back together. Before we do that, I want to make sure the solenoid side is also equally clean. The dormant part for this, if you don't want to buy the Honda ones, I'd recommend buying the Honda ones. Clearly, they'll last like 200,000 miles. But this one is like 4 minutes away and much easier for me to get to because they're open super late. I picked it up at AutoZone. It's a 917170. I ended up having the part number memorized and just going to AutoZone and saying, O'Reilly's didn't have this. Give me my 917170. And they did. They had it. So, easy to see which way this goes. It only goes in one way, and the screen goes towards the inside here. I guess I should stick a little lube on this. Give me some oil here. This guy goes on here just like this. You'll have to push the spool in. Let's get these bolts started. Here goes the solenoid. Last one just went in, and now I'm tightening them all down. Making good progress here. Okay, VTEC solenoid is complete. We got that nice and snug on there. Now we have to go back to O'Reilly's and buy a valve cover set for this thing with the spark plug tube seals because I don't have that on hand and I wasn't planning on changing it. But hey, we are now. For some reason, somebody did a terrible job putting the battery hold down on this battery. It's basically not on there at all because it doesn't go into the handle, so it's just being worthless. Today, we fix it correctly. So we'll pop it off, put it under the handle where it belongs. It's supposed to go from the inside out with the hook, and of course that was wrong. And now, okay, glad it went all the way out. We'll just throw these nuts back on here, run them down, and the battery will actually be held down. Got it started. Much better. For some reason, people got really upset about this last time, so I'm 100% doing it again. Let's get this guy down in there. Where are you at? You already on the plug? Combustion looks wonderful. Bosch plugs though. Blah. All right, those are coming out with the quickness here. And of course, that last one is probably, well, you can't even see the spark plug. It's so full of oil. Who wouldn't want to take spark plugs out with their impact? It's so efficient. This one has a lot of Corona stain on it. It's a double iridium plug though. Fancy. Oh, these are the worst because you have to clean. Oh, you have to clean your spark plug socket forever to get all the oil out that just soaked into it. And you have to clean your car again because you just got oil out of everything. Plug. Oh, that is bad. I mean, the plug looks okay. Combustion still looks clean. Check that out. Neutral color, right on point. The new plugs are NGK G-Power Platinums, ZFR 5FGP. I'll try to link those in the description too. Quarter past. There we go. Done deal. Okay, everything's been cleaned. Valve cover mating surface has been cleaned for the gasket there. EGR is clean. EGR mating surface on the intake is clean. And now we're just gonna go ahead and toss the gasket on the EGR valve, which is a Felpro 70978 right here. Crazy. Acura, AMC, GM, Honda. Wow, this thing fits a lot of stuff. Saturn, Renault, Jeep Eagle, Nissan, Datsun, 4 cylinders, V6s. What a crazy application list. This must be a very, very common gasket. It just sits onto the studs right there. Super simple. Done. And now, let's get the valve back on here. Everything's nice and clean. Hopefully I can push this out of the way enough to drop that back in. Perfect, perfect. All right, this time we're gonna get it tight. And now I've got those two 12s tight and just hand tight, nothing crazy. Pop the EGR connector back on. Almost everything else is back in place. We can put the intake back on now. The only thing that's tricky, you wanna make sure you get that hose clamp lined up correctly so that you don't end up making it harder to put everything else together. All right, let's get some parts.
What are we looking for?
Hold on, I gotta get my sandwich.
She brought pocket food. What's going on?
Not much.
Here's what we need.
Okay.
That window regulator,
Okay.
valve cover gasket, and one other thing.
For
Air filter.
an air filter.
2000 Honda Accord EX.
I'll get the air filter real quick.
Sweet. 46. 46.
And yes, 46, 443.
What?
Is it there?
It's in there. It must be in the back. Unfortunately, we have to get a microguard filter instead of the wicks that I love so much. 46, 443. All right, guys, thanks for the parts. We've got a valve cover gasket, air filter, and the window regulator for the driver's side.
See you later.
See you later. Okay, this is heavier than I thought it was gonna be. Oh, thanks,
I got
Henry.
you.
All right, later.
Bye.
Here you go. We're gonna clean out the air box real fast. Wow, this dirt is caked in there. I'm gonna have to break it loose. It's time for our new air filter. Awesome. Much nicer. And now, for the valve cover, get these off. We're gonna grab some wire cutters and then replace all these seals on the bolts, and then get all of these spark plug tube seals out, which is one of the more annoying parts of this job, mostly because it's kind of hard to get them out. So what I do now is try to get my pliers right on the seal and then use itself to pry it out. So it doesn't end up taking too long. Ah! That one did not work. Okay, there's one. Another one. And come on, last one. Ah, awesome. The valve cover gasket proper. There we go. The old one is out. So, I'm gonna go clean a few things up before we carry on. I have lots and lots of trash to get rid of from this job so far. That filter, all these plug boxes. So I'm gonna go throw all of this away and then we'll get back to the valve cover. And of course, to cut these off, you just take your wire cutters, just whatever you've got, cut through the rubber. You might have to cut multiple times. Might make it a little bit easier if you do. And then make sure you cut all the way back to the bolt. And once you get there, get it off of the stem. And once it's off, the metal just falls off. Okay, everything's cleaned up and now it's time to actually do some work. So you've got these tabs on the 2000 Accord 4-cylinder. The tabs go this direction, which is towards the timing cover. And just go ahead and work this thing in. Not a big deal, should just set right into the channel. Not bad at all. Nice and quick there. Felpro gaskets, always quality. And then, let's see, we've got the bolt seals here. These are super easy to do and almost kind of fun. So we'll get this thing ripped open, get them out of here. All right, And basically just flip the bolt over on the ground or on a workbench, whatever you're doing, and push until it goes on. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. This one's fighting me. So what I came up with is the Knipex pliers here are pretty easy to get right where you want onto this. And what happens if you're too tight is you can't get it past the little notch on the bolt. There we go, going right on. A little bit harder than the more modern Accord ones, but we're getting it done pretty quick here. All we have left is the spark plug tube seals here. Fun fact, somebody did this before and they put the spark plug tube seals in upside down. They go like this, and when you put the valve cover onto the spark plug tubes, it slides down over it because they'll go in where they belong, and it's tapered so it fits perfectly. If they're in upside down, none of them seal, and that's pretty much what was happening before. So luckily for me, these ones are a lot easier to put in than the new Civic ones. And if you just kind of press around them, they'll go in nicely. Tiny little bit of RTV in each corner, and we are ready to put the valve cover back in its place. All right, and now, oh yeah, everything drops right into place where it's supposed to be. Valve cover is back on. I had to work each one of those seals in around that spark plug tube seal. That was a lot of fun. I think I put them on the right direction, and I also did Google it to make sure it was right. But honestly, once I did that, I was a little concerned about it. I think it's right, so we're gonna go with it. All right, let's put these back ones in. At 83 inch-pounds on these guys. We'll just kind of start from the middle here. 83 inch-pounds really seems like a lot. But we did just check Honda Tech, and that's what it said. Oh, okay. Guess it's not that bad. And our spark plug wires are going back in. Putting our spark plug wire combs back in. And this is actually it under the hood. I hope this thing starts up and runs like an absolute champ. I'm just going with the 83 inch-pounds on the spark plug comb bolts as well. There we go. Everything's done. It's now time for the first startup. My hands are covered in oil, but oh, I got the key. We blew a lot of oil out of that cylinder now that it's running correctly. So, it seems perfectly smooth, which is awesome. I can now close the hood. All right, let's go. Here you go, Miss Guinea. We gotta move all these receipts. Also, I have a USB cable in here now, so I can rock out with my iPhone since I've got that nice Kenwood head unit. I hooked my Wi-Fi code reader up. I'll link it in the description because everyone always asks me about it. And of course I use the Dash Command app on the iPhone. And let's go to diagnostics here. It runs way better. It doesn't struggle to stay idling at this point. All right, here we go. 3 stored codes, the 1259 and the EGRA, clear codes, clearing, check engine light's gone. All right, let's go drive this through a full cycle and I'll check it again. Hopefully all these codes are gone. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I went ahead and flushed the power steering fluid too. We've got some nice new power steering fluid in the system. It works great. There's no whining from the pump, so that makes me happy. And there's no check engine light. We've driven it for 10 minutes now, so I think we're done. So that is it for today, guys. Please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. Lamborghini, what do you think about the Accord Coupe?
I was actually really surprised at how clean you got it.
Yeah.
The inside looks new almost.
It was a lot of work.
So, yeah, it's nice. It rides smooth.
Yeah. So I can't wait to get it out of our lives.